of fraudulent behavior to punish your policyholders, rip off the public, rip off the federal government too, by the way, which you did multiple times in past years when you moved over funding and claims to the federal government, so FEMA would have to pay more, the taxpayer would have to pay more, and you would have to pay less. And I have to tell you, it's worked great for you. I mean, your profits are unbelievable. What do you make?
I'd be happy to discuss that after the
You can tell us. I mean, what do you make a year? Your CEO makes $26 million a year. What do you make?
I'm not comfortable discussing that in this forum.
Why not? I mean, I wouldn't be comfortable either if I represented a company like this.
If
You won't tell us?
I won't.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Well, Mr. Fiato, all I can say is I think your testimony here today is pretty shameful, just like I think your company's behavior is pretty shameful. Mr. Keating, let me just ask you, does State Farm deliberately underpay claims? Do you engage in that behavior?
No, Senator, we do not.
Let me read to you a letter from a whistleblower who's a longtime State Farm employee adjuster. And without objection, I'll have this entered now into the record. The whistleblower says the following: I observed routine and deliberate underpayment of claims, including the consistent removal or alteration of essential line items. These were not occasional discrepancies, but part of a broader and consistent pattern of lowballing estimates. What's your response to that?
That's not consistent with the State Farm I know, and I'm certainly not familiar with the individual that's making those allegations.
Would you ever alter factual findings from an inspection report like Allstate?
No, we would not do that, nor do we direct anyone to do that.
Well, this same whistleblower says, and I quote, "More concerning was the alteration and deletion of factual findings in my reports. In many cases, I documented legitimate damage to vinyl siding that warranted full elevation replacement, only to have the estimate changed to reflect piecemeal spot repairs, contrary to manufacturer specifications and professional standards."
Respectfully, Senator, I'm unaware of the details, surrounding these allegations, but we certainly follow the recommendations, based on the standards as that person referenced.
Do you retaliate against whistleblowers?
No, we do not.
This witness says, and I quote, "It is also my professional concern that whistleblower retaliation is a very real threat within the State Farm system. Others before me have experienced severe consequences for speaking out, and I have reason to believe similar retaliation could result in the end of my ability to work in this industry," end quote. What's your response to that?
So again, I can't speak to the specifics because the individual is not here, or I don't know of those specifics, but it's inconsistent with the State Farm that I know and that I've experienced for 32 years.
It's amazing to me that both of your testimonies are very consistent in one respect, which is that it's a sudden case of amnesia before this committee. You've never heard of any of this stuff that's happened. You're unfamiliar with your own company. In your case, Mr. Fiato, before like yesterday, there's no knowledge whatsoever. I have to say, it's awfully convenient. That witness, that sworn testimony, that oath, it's amazing how often it produces amnesia up at these hearings. Sadly, your policyholders don't have it, and they're suffering because of it. I'm sorry, is your testimony that neither of you don't do business with U.S. Forensic? Go ahead, Mr. Keating.
I'm unaware of that firm that you're referring to.
You're not familiar with it, Mr. Fiato?
Same.
You're not familiar with U.S. Forensic?
I'm not familiar with U.S. Forensic.
U.S. Forensic, which has been sued multiple times, was found civilly liable for widespread fraud in Katrina and Superstorm Sandy. Both of your companies have contracted with U.S. Forensic for years, for decades. But your testimony is today that you're, per what I think you just said to the ranking member, you no longer contract with U.S. Forensic. Is that right? I want to be clear on this. Is that right, Mr. Fiato?
I don't know if we do.
Okay. Mr. Keating?
Same thing. I'm unaware.
So, in other words, the testimony is, Senator Kim, that maybe they continue to contract with fraudsters, I think. They can't recall, which is, I think, the theme of today's testimony. I'll just end by saying, in Missouri 2 months ago, we lost 12 people to tornadoes. A lot more people than that lost their homes. And that happens in my state, sadly, every year, every tornado season, every flooding season. And in those times of crisis, these good folks look to you for help. And I'm sad to say that more often than not, they're disappointed. and it shouldn't be that way. They shouldn't be victims of fraud and abuse. They shouldn't be treated the way that Mr. Vertel and his wife were treated, Ms. Miguel and her husband were treated. The people of Missouri and the people of the country deserve better. And given the profits you're making, I certainly think you can afford it. With that, we will conclude today's hearing.